For a change, I'm in front of you and the market has not fallen. So someone suggested panoti hai, जब भी आता है market गिरता है. आज market नहीं गिरा. Anyway, well, jokes apart, I think I'm going to discuss very interesting data today. Someone asked me on our Thursday webinar with the PMS customer, and we would, I made a statement about the water's turnout. And this gentleman, Mohan, if my memory serves me right, was of the opinion that if there is a lower turnout, that means people, those who the vote banks of BJP may not be able to, not coming out, and it could be detrimental. If you go through some of the reasons why market has been little volatile, purely because of the phase-wise there is a low water turnout as compared to what it was there in 2019. So I'm going to present all this data, very interesting data. It will give a lot of food for thought to you also. And when I was compiling data, even I was surprised. And I was surprised with one data point beyond my imagination. I'll show you why I was surprised. But before that, just a small disclaimer that this webinar is to enhance your understanding about the equity market. Please consult your financial advisor before buying or selling any stock. Past performance is no indicator of future returns. And investment in securities are subject to market risk. With this, let me give you phase-wise to water turnout. Okay, there are total 7 phases, and there will be one, I think, on 20th now. Then another one is on maybe 25th to 26th, and then last one is on 1st June. So out of 7, 4 phases are over. And if you look at it, each phase, and there's a consistency there, okay? If you look at it, the phase 1, there was 69% last time, which came down to 66%. 70 came down to 66.71. 67 came down to 65.68. 68.8 came down to 67.25. So there has been a decline. First, the decline was near about 3%, here also 4%. Then it came down to near about less than 2%, and again it's a less than 2%. So slowly and steadily the things are improving. Now one theory that goes is that if there are less number of people coming out for vote, BJP may not get the same number of seats what it got in 2009, and forget about Charles Sopar. And that's really made market little nervous. And yesterday, Amit Shah in one of the interviews basically made a statement कि आप देख लेना market 4 जून के बाद क्या होगा, तो हम 400 के पार जाएंगे. And market, it did improve the market sentiment. Post this comment was aired on the TV channel. The market was down yesterday and then basically recovered post that. Today also it is sustained. But the fact, and if we look at this, there is a one market called Foladi market, which is in Rajasthan, which basically it's a more a satta market. It's not an official market, but people do make a statement that it's more, give a sense of what could be the outcome. And every phase, they are reducing number of seats. BJP is likely to win. Okay, so we thought, first let's look at the data in a very hard manner. Don't get carried away by emotions. Don't get carried away by hearsay. And let's see what past 10 has been saying. So we started compiling, I put my research team on that to start compiling the data. So what we realized, this is the data on the phase wise. If you look at it now, there are two things. First, I must tell you that. One is that whenever you look at this data, whenever there is a change in the party, to bring that change, the water turnout has to be higher. That shows a wind of change. And why am I making a statement? In 2009, Congress was ruling. Okay. In 2014, the BJP came back to power. But BJP came back to power because there was a higher water turnaround ratio. It increased by 8.820 basis point. So, and I'll also in the next slide how the water turnout has increased over the years. Something similar happened. If you remember, now there is another debate which could be there. In 1999, BJP was in the power. But despite the lower turnaround, Congress won it. But now Congress won it because of a coalition government. Congress did not able to form the government on its own. Am I right? We all know why. Because Congress was support from the other UP alliance, and then they came out with the common minimum program. So our sense is that there is no clear-cut trend which says that if there is a lower turnaround, there is a change in the party. For example, look at 1996 to 1998. BJP formed, then BJP had to give up, and then we saw Devi Gowda and I.K. Gujral and so on and so forth. The BJP again came back to power in 99 with the 400 bips increase in the water turnaround. Am I right? So there is no which suggests that there is a this one. Now what has happened? Yes, someone would say, you look at 1984. Congress was there, and despite water increase by 6.660 basis point, yet Congress retained the power. But here we need to understand the history there. In 1984, there was a wave, sympathy wave. Why sympathy wave? Because Indira Gandhi got assassinated. And since Indira Gandhi got assassinated, Rajiv Gandhi got the sympathy wave. If you look at again, in 1971 to 1977, there is a change in the government from Indira Congress to Janta, because we all know that there was a what we call emergency was imposed, and the Moraji Desai became a prime minister, increased by 5.2. So my understanding and my reading of this data is very clear cut. If there has to be a really change in the government, of course there could be a coalition government. That happened in 2004, or it happened in 1991 also, if my memory serves me right. Yes, despite change in this, the votes are coming down. We had a coalition government run by the Narasimha Rao. Am I right? So if there is a change in the government has to happen, no single party, based on the data which is coming out, will be able to have a form in the government on their own, change in the government. If you look at the Fuladi market that I was talking about, they are also not predicting that BJP on its own will not get 272 seats. They are also saying that they will form the government. So today that fear of low turnout, is it going to be a change in the party, change in the government? Doesn't look like. Purely based on the data. For some reason, if that is turning out to be the true, then the data suggests that no single party from the opposition will get the majority, and it will be a coalition government, if at all there is a change in the government. Now we need to always look at the data in a contextual. Am I right? Why I am saying contextual? Because when I look at the data, this water turnout is one of the highest in last two elections. So from that level, if there is a decline, I don't think we should make too much of it. If you look at the water turnaround in 1980 to 1984, it has increased substantially. Why? Because we were near 56% or so, and it increased to in very close to 64. In fact, I was surprised when I look at the data. In 2019, water turnaround was the highest in the history since the election took place. 67.4%. उसमें थोड़ा deep होता है, that's fair enough. Then one should not read too much into that. And still we have 3 phases of election. So when we look at the overall, my sense is that we will still be above 64 or so, which is not a bad number looking at the data that I'm in front of you, because normally we have seen data near about, like if you look at this was in this one in 2009, when this one it was 56, 57 kind of a stuff. So in that sense, the data does indicate that overall voter turnout has increased, and which is highest in 2019. If there is a little dip, should we read too much into that? I'm again talking about the data. Now the one slide which I'm going to present next is surprised me the most. That whatever the turnout is, voter turnout, not a single party ever have secured more than 50% vote share. For example, 100 people are eligible to vote. 67 people vote for that. None of the party got 50% of 67 in the history of India. In other words, should we really say this is the what we call the most popular government? The answer is no. Why? If you look at it in 1984 also, when there was a complete wave of when Congress got completely swept the election, more than 400 seats. Even at that point of time, Congress did not get more than 50% vote share. Not more than 50% vote share. Not a single party. Last time, BJP got 37.7% vote share of total vote being polled. And why is that so? For the very simple reason, India has been, unlike in the other parts of the world where there are only 2 parties, India is dominated by the regional parties. Well, various like CPI, CPM was very, very strong once upon a time. Now TMC is strong. We have Biju Janata Dal. We have South mein AIDMK and DMK. Then we have TDP and YSRSP, PCP, and so on and so forth. So there are so many BSP and SP in North, and so on and so forth. So there are various local parties which are there. And then what surprised me is that the one party that gets the highest vote becomes the party that will. But they are not basically, seems to be a party of the more than 50%. Normally it should be more than 50%, isn't it? Because that's where it's just that some party got little less and some party got little more, and that's why. And I wish number of regional parties in the country comes down, that becomes a more of a direct fight between 2 parties, and then we can see okay, this is happening. And I think that's what that should happen logically. But yes, the data clearly suggested that not a single party ever, and this comes as a big surprise to me. In fact, I thought when Rajiv Gandhi got maximum more than 400 seats, he would have definitely got more than 50%, but that was not the case. So that has come as a big surprise to me too. So this is more data on the politics. Why? Because politics is right now talk of the town. What's going to happen? Which party is going to form the government? What BJP will get? How many seats Congress will get? And so on and so forth. And everyone is basically, and depending upon that, market is swinging up and down. I must tell you one more thing. Once the election result will come out, market will start discussing about the budget. Finance minister kaun banega? There is another debate that's happening. And what I've heard couple of names, it came as a surprise to me. Okay, who could be the next finance minister? Number 1. Number 2, what kind of reforms will come? Will there be a change in capital gain? And that will also make market little. So don't expect volatility to end once the election results are out. I think volatility will continue whether we like it or not till the budget is presented, maybe post-budget also, depending upon what the budget is all about. Now I'm done with my presentation on the election side. Let's come to the market now. So if you look at the market, both Sensex and Nifty closed in last 5 trading days in the red. Mid cap moved up by 1.1 and small cap by 0.4%. Metal is on the top of the table. clearly because of the data from China coming out better, which is basically fueling that. And of course, one of the company is doing some kind of a corporate action that really also help the metal as a pack. But otherwise, market tried to show some resilience, including today and yesterday, because of had Amit Shah not made the statement, maybe we would have seen a lot of ratings in this table. So right now, market seems to have got convinced with what what Amit Shah has suggested, and that's the reason we see a lot of grain as compared to a lot of red. But finance was down, FMCG was down, IT was down, and Bank Nifty was down. Bank Nifty continues to underperform, Nifty IT continues to underperform. As you can see here, they are basically in the green. Overall market, we are almost 4.5 months into the what we call 2024, and look at the Nifty and Sensex. If you remember 2021, the momentum was there. कोई भी चीज को हाथ लगाओ सोना बन जाती थी. And now that things are becoming little slow and slow. So Sensex is up by only 1.2% in 2024. Nifty is up by 2.2%. Small cap 8% and mid cap 13%. Again, we believe that mid and small cap should underperform from this level. How it will happen, when it will happen, we have no clue, but it should logically happen. FIIs have become heavy sellers in the market. They were aggressive actually. They sold 22,000 crore in May. In the April they sold, if you remember, in the first week of April when the FIIs were positive, we predicted FII will turn negative in April. When I made presentation on equity outlook 2000 May ka, I did predict even May they will be negative, and they had already sold 22,000 crore in just 13-14 days. And we should expect more selling to happen from the FII. Result season still on. Almost 67% of the company have declared the numbers in terms of market cap, and you look at the number, 19.33% growth in bottom line. It's not one of the best growth that I must tell you that has happened. Total net profit till now declared by the India is near 3 lakh crore. And our prediction, if you remember, for the March 2024 is 4 lakh crore. So somewhere very close to 67, 3 lakh crore, 100% 4 lakh crore equation does fits into, but we'll wait and watch. But right now, number doesn't looks very exciting for market to move up. With valuation being expensive, I think market will see a lot of limited upside, but downside risk continues to be there in the market. And of course, politics will right now decide the trend of the market. We are not very far off. So today, as we speak, what is the day today? Today is the 14th May. So 15 plus one more day. Okay, so this 31 का बहना होगा ना मैं तो 16 plus 1. 17 days exit poll would be out. So in next 2 weeks, we'll get the exit poll on 1st June. And market will react, will not wait for the 4th June, that's a Tuesday. Market will react based on the exit poll on 3rd June itself. So in next 15 days, we will see a lot of volatility in the market. Please brace yourself for the volatility in the market because the news flow will behave this way. Of course, with this, let's open the floor for question answer. Vidhu Kumar Pandey, sir. Love and blessing of your informative webinars. Thank you, sir. I normally don't buy a stock when its Mojo score is less than 70. By following this strategy, one would have missed an opportunity to buy a multi-bagger defense stock HL, which rose over 150% in last 1 year with Mojo score below 7. Does your IP need a relook, Pandey, sir? So, Pandey, sir, I must tell you that we do own Hindustan Aeronautics in our model portfolio. It was a Mojo stock. We have not exited from our model portfolio. So many of customers who are attending this webinar would have bought in model portfolio Hindustan Aeronautics, and we continue to hold. See, remember, the score 70 and then becoming a Mojo stock is a one way to look at it, to create the wealth. Another one is that stock which was a Mojo stock, which we have not exited. Why we did not exit? Because our IP suggested it can still create a wealth for the investors. And hence, we continue to hold that company and we have made money. So today, many of you would basically, and I would someone to basically say, okay, yes, they do own a model portfolio, Hindustan Techs, and I want that confirmation to come from our those who are attending the webinars. But you are right, sir. Sometimes, not all stocks which are above 70 will make money, and those all stocks which are below 70 will not make money. वैसा नहीं होगा, sir. We are not saying it's 100% perfect correlation. We never made a statement. We will never make a statement. So there are some stocks which may be below 70 score and can still do very well. And if you remember, Vidhu sir, we have Simon again said defense as a theme should do well. We stated in 2023 equity outlook. We repeated the same theme in 2024 also. So we believe defense should do well, railways should do well, we believe pharma should do well, we believe capital goods should do well, and we continue to believe, so HL is part of a defense should do well. But we do own, sir, model portfolio, Hindustan Unilever, and we have not exited. In other words, our investors did get benefit of that 150% gain which has been made in last 1 year being part of the model portfolio. Rajendra Shah sir saying, do you think comments on market by politicians will have an impact on market? We saw that happening yesterday, am I right, sir? So we need to believe that it will have an impact, whether we like it or not. That's it. Also, depending on who makes a statement. Is it coming from very powerful politician or is it coming from a not so very powerful politician? Also, it's also depending upon whether this politician at the state level, whether politician at the central level. So this is all matters. So but yesterday comment from Amit Shah did improve the market sentiment. Shyam Sundar say, I believe market upside is limited near term where some possible results may lead to subcorrection in market. What is the best way to mitigate the risk of downside fall apart from good quality stocks and wait and watch patiently? Sir, you asked the question and you replied also in your question. Remain invested in the quality. So what we did in PMS, I can suggest the same thing. We were 90% in mid and small cap, somewhere in Fab. Today we are 90% in large cap. Stick to good quality company and wait and watch. See, market will remain volatile, okay, or may remain volatile. But that's only in the near term. The long-term, medium to long-term outlook is excellent for the market. If that is so, why to worry about the short-term volatility? So that's why we said expand your horizon and enjoy the fruits of a mega bull run of the market. Sarvana, I think as per website it was updated as minimum size is 1 crore. Whether is SEBI minimum is for 50 lakhs. So I think we are referring to the PMS, this one. You are right that in our PMS, so see, the SEBI guideline says minimum 50 lakhs, but the SEBI does not say that you cannot set your own guideline, the minimum benchmark. There are some PMS which takes only minimum 10 crore. They don't entertain any customers less than 10 crore. But Sarvana sir, if you wish to come in our PMS, I'll ask one of my team member to reach out to you, and if your ticket size is 50 lakhs and above, we will try to onboard you in our PMS. Don't worry, sir. So मुझे just pass on कर देना प्रथमेश इनका email और वो. Someone will reach out to you, sir, in case if you are interested in our PMS. Faizan is saying, what sectors will be in focus if current government comes to power, and will it be in focus if new government forms? If I understood your question, Faizan, what are you saying is that which sector, which I did, so I think what we believe based on what manifesto has been announced, defense should do well, railways should do well, tourism should do well, capital goods and infra should do well. These are the sectors. Pharma should do well. These are the sectors should do very well if the present government, incumbent government retains the power. That's what our sense is. If the new government comes, I think it will be no single government will be able to, no single party will be able to form a government on their own. There will be a coalition government. And in that case, there will be a common minimum program. And if that comes in, then we need to wait and see what is that common minimum program talks about. And then based on that, we need to understand which sector should do well. Kiran Gite, future of recycling sector, it's very good, sir. Stocks related to it, sir, I'm not very sure about which are the recycling sector, which are the stocks which are to recycling. So please pardon me more for my ignorance. But there are some companies, I'm not able to recollect the name right now. But future of recycling is extremely good. I think they will also get the benefit of ESG. So a lot of companies who want to invest, which are ESG compliant, this company do fit into that bill. But which are the companies, I will not be able to recollect. I don't remember the name, but the future is very good, sir. Hakale sir, as per your technical team has not responded, I am escalating my request to you. In screener section, please provide facility to arrange the drop-down stock in alphabetical order like it's available in personal portfolio model. Also, please mention the score of the companies again their names. This will facilitate better diagnosis. Hakale sir, I will forward your request to my the team, product team. Sir, Hakale sir, as you know that I don't look at the MarketsMojo, I look at the Mojo PMS now, PMS side. So, but I'll definitely forward your request to our product team. अरे ये रिक्वेस्ट भेज दीजिए प्लीज प्रशांत को. हाँ, Prathamesh, and sir, your request has been forwarded, and the team will do the needful, sir. Sunil Gupta, sir, in the past we used to hear in many webinars that if your portfolio is not all high, all time, well benchmarking is all time, then there is a need to review your process. In case of model product PMS, there is an underperformance of quite long time. Please comment irrespective of broad-based rally, as benchmark is also subject to narrow-based rally. So you are right, sir. We have said time and again, Gupta sir, that if you are underperforming, you need to review that. Now, you don't have to review your process for 3 months and 6 months or 9 months. Am I right? Because some of the best strategy may underperform for a certain period of time. And hence, if you look at the Warren Buffett also would have underperformed many years. So it's what defines as a process is that your process should be right. And if your process is right, outcome will be right. In the short run, it may not be. But over a long term, it has to be right. So, in our PMS, as you would know, Gupta sir, despite we move to large cap, we significantly outperform in the month of April in our PMS. Most probably maybe the best performing PMS in the month of April. If you look at in the month of May, the market has been extremely choppy. And we have performed in line with the benchmark. So, sometimes we do form an opinion based on the recency bias. Based on 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and we conclude, okay, this is not this thing. Now, if you keep changing your strategy time and again, just for the sake of changing it, sometimes what would happen, you will not be able to reap the benefit of the consistency. Am I right? So we always tell investors, not only our PMS or model portfolio also, we tell investors the personal portfolio strategy also, that you follow one theme, change it only if you think it's needed to change. Otherwise, what will happen? You will give a classical example like Prasad Jain, when he was not doing so well from HDFC, a lot of people criticize him, but he stuck to his philosophy, and eventually that it paid off, and it not only recovered what a period of underperformance, but significantly outperformed. So somewhere your process has to be right. If the process is right, then outcome has to be right. Sometimes one may not be able to relate to this, but as the time passes, people will be able to relate to this. Anil Kumar, immediate impact on sector after result. If BJP forms the government, full parity winning approach 400 seats or more, 400. View on pharma sector regards. I did mention, I think Faizan asked me this very similar questions, Anil sir, but for the sake of benefit of everyone, for you, I'll repeat the answer. If BJP retains the power, defense should do well, railways should do well, tourism should do well, capital goods and infra should do well, pharma should do well. So these are the 4-5 sectors which should do well. Today my interview has been published with ET, and I've said one of the dark horse could be the FMCG. That's nothing to do with the BJP. It's more to do with the monsoon. It's more to do with the outlook given by the FMCG companies, because everyone seems to be now of the opinion that they can see double-digit growth, and then we do expect some of our restructuring happening within the FMCG companies, where they may be selling some of their foreign subsidiaries, or they will be divesting some of the portfolio which are not performing. So we do, to my personal opinion, this is on, that FMCG could be a dark horse. Sagar Parekh, thanks for your support and guidance, which makes us better investor. I have a question that what PE you are comfortable buying any company? Many people say stock less than 30 P is better and above 30 P is expensive. Need your guidance. Also, if a company promises 80% growth in revenue, Y on Y, and with the same margin of 35 to 40, is it okay to buy 100 P stock or stay away? Sir, request you to do retirement planning webinar, which you have told that do it will help us more financial planning. So first, let me apologize, Sagar ji, that yes, I did promise about the retirement planning. The only confusion that I have in my mind is that logically Mohit should do this retirement planning webinar. Unfortunately, I spoke to Mohit, and Mohit is a little busy because of he's working on some FinHub strategy, and he's not able to come in front of you. Point taken, I'll request again Mohit to do retirement. If he says no, then I'll step in. But till now, Mohit has not suggested no, and hence I assume that Mohit is on the retirement planning. And in fact, what I suggested him also, that they do retirement planning, not one webinar, because one size fits doesn't fit all. Am I right? So we should do a retirement planning with someone who is at the age of 25 to 35, because for that person, the retirement planning should have a different approach as compared to someone who is 35 to 45, and then someone who is 44 to 55. Why? Because everyone would have a different kind of a time horizon to do the planning. And hence I've suggested Mohit, instead of doing one webinar, that one size fits all, we should basically bucket in the various age bracket and then do, because the solution could be different for someone who is at 25 to 35 age bucket as compared to someone who is in 44 to 45 to 55 age bucket. So that's what we've already discussed that. But anyway, good you reminded again. I'll speak to Mohit on Thursday, because I'll be meeting Mohit on Thursday. I'll have a word with him. Now coming back to your first part of your question. Is there a thumb rule that P इतने से अच्छा है तो अच्छा है, इससे कम है तो अच्छा है, और इससे ज़्यादा है तो खराब है? There is no such thing, sir. Had it been so simple, we would not have needed help of people like us. सिंपल स्क्रीनर डाल देते, जिसका पी 30 से नीचे वो ले लो, जिसका पी 30 से ऊपर है उसको बेच दो. इतना सिंपल होता तो, am I right? Then you don't need Rakesh Junjula, you don't need Warren Buffett. इतना सिंपल होता तो life. Everyone would have become a multi-billionaire. There is no kind of a standard thumb rule as such. What you should look at, what I look at it, okay, let me explain you. You should look at the growth in the company versus that growth. Is it there in the price or not? There are many companies where growth is priced in. So your question was, if the company is growing at 80%, is it there in the price? If it is there in the price, it doesn't make a sense to buy. I'll give you a classic example, which, Asian Paints. If you remember, we exited in April 2022 in one of the market plans when you people are foolish. एशियन पेंट को कोई बेचता है क्या? ग्रोथ है उसमें तो, कितना धंधा एक्सपांड होने वाला है, पीपल कंजम्पशन आर गोइंग टू गो अप, पीपल आर गोइंग टू, मोर हाउसेज आर गोइंग टू बी बिल्ड, मोर पेंट वुड बी रिक्वायर्ड, सो एंड सो फोर्थ. 2 साल में नेगेटिव रिटर्न्स दिया उसने. मार्केट इज गॉन अप, द एशियन पेंट इज डाउन. तो you need to understand, so there is no, and this, Sagar ji, this learning will happen over the years. You have to go through that process. So this is the, what I look at it, for me even 100p companies are good as long as I believe that it's not priced in. And sometimes if this, so you know, how do you find a multi-bagger in life? You look at what is the growth of that company, potential growth. It may or may not happen, am I right? But you look at it and then see whether it's been priced in that value or not. And we call it margin of safety. If it is not, the bet higher, longer, better the margin of safety, better probably it is you making money. So instead of looking at P, which is a very, not the best way to look at it. Okay, you look at growth, likely growth, and you don't have to put a numbers to it, because no one, even the CEO of a company will not be able to predict what growth rate I'm going to grow in next 4 to 5 years, because markets are so dynamic. Business में दम है क्या नहीं है? If the business has a growth potential, please go ahead and buy that company if the valuations are reasonable. और business में दम नहीं है, even don't pay 5 का P, because शायद वो पैसा बनेगा ही नहीं, because what looks 5 today will become 50. Why? Because the earnings will come down. Even if the price remains there, earnings will come down. Your denominator will come down, and what looks 5 will become 50. And we have seen that happening in many companies. So P should never be the end point. Maybe it could be the starting point to a stock selection, but it cannot be the end point. That may not be the only point to look at to decide whether you should buy that company or not. If you ask me, I'm more of a investor who basically look for the companies which are not doing great, but has a potential to do well. And I'll prefer to have that company. I remember one of the webinars where frank confession that Mohit was grilling me somewhere in October 2022 or so. And he asked me one company, Sunil, which you basically believe should do well. And if you remember, my answer was Tata Motors. Nothing was going right with that company. Let me tell you at that point of time. But I did see a valuation there. And then rest is history. So that's the way, Sagar ji. And you don't have to have too many multi-baggers in life. Remember that. आपको एक दो मिल गया ना, आपकी नैया पार है. People believe that every stock I buy has to be multi-bagger. नहीं है, पर वॉरेन बुफे का नहीं हुआ था, राकेश झुंझुनवाला का नहीं हुआ था. आप कौन सी खेत की मूली हो? नहीं होने वाला है. So remember, out of 10 stocks that you are going to buy, you should consider yourself lucky even if you are able to get 2 stocks such as a multi-bagger. Why? Because that multi-bagger will do so well that even if some stocks have not performed well, it will still compensate for that. So that's the approach you should do it. So again, just to summarize, the only P should not be the way to select the stock. It should be multiple factors and look at the growth in the company. If the company is going to grow, that company will justify the valuation. If the company is not going to grow, even the 5P looks very, very expensive. Vikram Singh say, how do you see BJP wins only 2 to 220 seats? So, sir, we predicted that also. If you go back to our equity outlook 2024, for some reason is BJP forget about 220 seats. I'm saying if for some reason if BJP is not able to form the government, market can crack by 20%. And it may take about 6 months to recover from that level. We predicted in January 2024. अभी की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ. तभी तो इलेक्शन का स्केड्यूल भी नहीं आया था. तभी तो ये वोटर टर्नआउट भी नहीं आया था. कम होगा कि ज़्यादा होगा. At that time, we predicted that if BJP is not able to form the government, market can correct by 20%. It will take 6 months to, and this webinar would be there. If you search on our YouTube channel, it should be available. You can watch that webinar. It was in the first week of January. Balakrishnan Menon sir said, what is the valuation outlook on cement sector, especially in Mojo stock from this sector? So I will not give company specific because of our compliance issue. I have stopped talking about company specific. But our sense is, and I have stated in the past also, if you look at my media interaction also, I have stated very time and again about my view on the cement. Our sense is that cement growth will be muted in FY 2025. Why? Because some of the projects, and if you look at the Larsen and Toubro also, they made a statement that we are not looking at 1 year now, next 1 year, it's 6 months kind of a stuff. Because of the new government will form, then they will award, the new minister will come and so on and so forth. So the cement demand is like to remain a little subdued in FY 2025. But the capacity expenses are happening. So what would happen? Some of the prices, which industry did make an attempt to hike the prices, and they have not been able to successful to retain that higher prices, and they'll be forced to roll it down. So what would happen for the cement sector? The volume growth would be there, which will also be limited in FY 2025, but don't expect any price growth. And due to that, the top line growth may not be so substantial. Now coming to the margin side, depending upon what happens with the input cost, which is right now very difficult to predict because it's a very dynamic situation, very volatile situation. So our sense is that if you look at one of the metrics that you should look at, someone asked me for the PE. Am I right? Mr. Parekh sir has asked me for the PE. In cement, we use it EV per ton, not the price to earning. So enterprise value per ton. And many of the large cap companies are commanding a very rich valuation based on EV per ton. But we do expect and we do believe there is a huge scope for mergers and acquisition within the cement sector. So some of the small size companies within the cement could be a good potential candidate for takeover. And their valuations are available at a very attractive valuations. And hence there could be opportunity in those sector, on those companies. So large cap may perform in line with the overall market. Mid cap little outperforms, but small cap can outperform significantly to the overall cement sector. So if at all you wish to take an exposure, go for the small cement players whose EV per ton is somewhere about 50 to 60 per ton. And those are the companies that you should look at because they could be a potential takeover candidates. There is a lot of consolidation is happening in the cement sector. Remember that. Akash Sahu, recently Tata Motors management used the word cautiously optimistic for domestic demand in the con call. Tata Motors corrected by 8% after that. You mentioned before that auto stocks should do well because of the high demand. Do you have any update on that? Is there any sign of slowdown in auto demand nationally or internationally? Thank you. So you are right, absolutely right. So if you look at this, what they mention about that, if you look at the JLR, they don't expect much of the growth happening in FY 2025. And that's the biggest revenue, am I right? In domestic, I think they are looking at single digit volume growth. That's what Maruti suggested, that's what Hyundai suggested, and so on and so forth. In commercial vehicle, depending upon projects and so on and so forth, that should do well. So I think the Tata Motors is also not only talk about the function of the demand and supply. I think Tata Motors announced that they are going to demerge the business into two parts. One is the commercial vehicle and one is the passenger vehicles. And that's where some value unlocking can happen. Number one. Number two, this company will become a debt-free in FY 2025. And I think that should be another tip because if you remember, Tata Motors is one of the highly rated company. If you go back 5 years back, the amount of debt that Tata Motors are carrying was huge, and what they did as a tremendous job as a management. I think they did a wonderful job. I did remember, one of the subsidiary of, and there's one more thing happening. The Tata Motors do have one finance subsidiary that will move to the Tata Capital. So some amount of restructuring will happen that should keep investors a little excited about it. Now your question is about the auto sector. So our sense is that, auto as a segment should do reasonably well. I'm not saying it will do outperform. I think within the auto there are various sectors. So tractors should do well because of monsoon should do well. That's one thing. Our sense is the commercial vehicle segment should do well purely because of government focus on infrastructure and so on and so forth. That should do well. Two-wheeler, especially bike segment should do well. Why? Because that is one segment that not done well. And remember, the rural demand, the bike is consumed more in the rural part as compared to the urban. Scooter is more urban product as compared to rural. And if the monsoon is going to do well, I think the within the two-wheeler, the motorbike segment should do reasonably well. So our sense is that this is how you should dissect the auto sector and then see which sub-segment is going to do well. So I give you flavor of each and every sub-segment to take a call. I hope that answers your question, Akash sir. Rajiv Kumar, thanks for your time in such volatile, which almost gonna last 45-50 days more. Then how to invest in meantime, or keep the cash in hand till this election and budget storms get settled? So Rajiv Kumar sir, you are doing a classical mistake, which is called timing the market. We have not done in our PMS also. I have not done in my personal portfolio also. So why you want to do it? See, yes, we do understand, Rajiv ji, that market is going to remain volatile or may remain volatile. But you are not investing for 3 months, like as I was suggested to Sunil Gupta sir. We are here for long-term wealth creation. So why to time the market? Please go ahead and invest in a good quality company whose growth prospects are good. They should do well over a period of 3 to 5 years. So don't worry too much about the short-term volatility. The moment what would happen, the market nature is to remain volatile. Some of the election khatam ho gaya, budget aa gaya, uska दूसरा कुछ होगा. Something will crop up. That will again force you not to invest. The market thrive during uncertain times. Thrive. Am I right? So if you invest during uncertain time, you reap the benefit during good times. So key thing to invest always in the time to volatile time. Because the volatile will not remain forever. Of course, equity by nature is a volatile assets. But what I'm saying, hyperactivity, hyper volatility is not going to remain all time. So please go ahead and invest, and that's the best way to do that. If you don't want to invest at one go, maybe you can stagger in a systematic manner, which we have done in PMS also. We have launched AAA strategy, systematic staggered strategy. You can do the same thing also and decide, okay, at fixed interval I'm going to put money, but remain fully invested. Don't try to time the market. Dulgesh is saying most of the growth in the last 2 years has been funded by fiscal deficit alone. The rise in GST is also mainly related to inflation. What will be the repercussion on the market when the new government becomes financially prudent and reduces the fiscal deficit? So let me tell you, fiscal deficit will come down. If you look at FY 2024, fiscal deficit is less than what it was budgeted also. Government aim is to bring down the fiscal deficit. Private capex has to happen. Robustness in the income tax and the GST collection has to happen. And that will fund the growth. And there are so many expenses which are, for example, subsidy, for example. That has to be, somewhere targeted in a meaningful manner so that we don't spend that kind of a money. If you remember, our petrol subsidy and diesel subsidy was so much high. Today there is no subsidy on that. There was a huge LPG subsidy. The amount has come down. There was a huge subsidy on kerosene. That amount has come down. So I think what we need to, like fertilizer subsidy. So how you can reduce the deficit while cutting down on the unwanted expenses. And at the same time, you expand your revenue. If the revenue goes up, your expenses come down. That's the best way you can manage the fiscal deficit. I don't think that's going to be impacting the growth in the economy. I don't think reduction in the fiscal deficit will come at the cost of growth. That's not. If you look at the government budget, that interim budget, they budget for the lower fiscal deficit. Yet they've said the nominal GDP would be near about 10%. So without compromising on the GDP growth, we should be able to. And that's the art. If you are not able to do that, then it's a problem. Then Durgesh said, then we should not be bullish on the equity market, because if your fiscal deficit goes out of hand, and in the hope that you will manage the growth, eventually everything will go down. So market will not like it. The market will like so far. But I agree. For example, nominal GDP, which was 11%, comes down to 10%, but fiscal deficit comes down to less than 4%. I think market will love it. That's how we should look at it. And we have no other choice but to be financially prudent. So when I read some of this manifesto which says that we'll give you free, boss, it looks very good in the short run. Who is going to fund that? पैसा तो कुछ झाड़ से तो उक्के नहीं आएगा. You have to fund that. Who is going to fund that? And I read one article yesterday, day before yesterday, and those who are from Hyderabad would be able to relate to it. L&T started the metro. They say it's not viable. Why it's not viable? Because the bus service is free. I don't know whether it's for everyone or for female. I'm not very now. I can't recollect now what basically it was. And a lot of people, those who used to travel by metro, have switched to the buses because of movement मिल रही है. Tell me, who is going to basically construct the metro? Who is going to take the capex? It completely disrupts your economies of scale. Why would you do that? Now that's the free culture, and eventually that free culture will somewhere has to pay. आप कितना फ्री में कितनी बात दोगे? कुबेर का तो भंडार है नहीं अपने पास कि कितना भी देते जाओ खत्म नहीं होने वाला है. Eventually you need either you increase your tax, then people will become more non-compliant. Why? Because क्यों government को ज़्यादा tax देगा? Am I right? So what would you do? So I think it's a very this culture of free somewhere needs to be end. Otherwise, एक बार आदत लग जाएगी तो फिर वो तकलीफ है. And second thing, what comes as a free, people don't have a value for that. अगर मैं आपको फ्री इलेक्ट्रिसिटी दे दूंगा, then you are not bothered ना. पंखा चालू है कि बंद है, लाइट चालू है कि बंद है, AC चालू है कि बंद है, मुफ्त में ना. The moment you have been able to forced to pay, then you become very conscious. Should I keep switch on or should I not switch on? कितना टेम्परेचर रखूँ, कितना नहीं रखूँ? Am I right? And remember, free basically eventually will result into shortage. Someone was, and I don't know, I've just heard it, so please pardon me if I have someone misinformed me or wrongly. He said today, because of free buses in city of Bangalore, for the woman, it's very difficult to get into the bus only. Quality suffers. Mumbai में देख लो. Because of railway fare cannot go up. बहुत सारी पब्लिक ज़्यादा है, आदमी कम है. And during morning time, to get into the train is a nightmare for many people. Moment you increase the fare, you can spend that money in capex, you can spend that money, and that basically brings the equilibrium. These are needed. That's a law of economics, but कोई करने को तैयार नहीं. फ्री का कल्चर बन रहा है, तो फ्री का कल्चर बनेगा तो फिर तो तकलीफ है. Vinod Kosari saying, having said that the market may correct on speculation if election result, are you going to take any specific action to safeguard at least the present alpha or part of the capital? So Vinod sir, what we have done in our PIS is very simple. We moved to the large cap. Okay. And that's one of the reasons we did well in April, because of our shifting to the large cap. In May till now, we are in line with the the benchmark purely because despite the volatility, has been very, very volatile. This is the way we are protecting the capital. We have a fiduciary responsibility to protect the capital of the customers, and we will leave no stone unturned to do that. So we are doing that. But having said that, market volatility sometimes does impact your portfolio despite taking all the measures. Am I right? Because market is own wisdom, and hence we say don't worry too much about the short-term volatility in the portfolio also. What you should be looking at is the long-term wealth creation, which will happen provided you don't lose patience, you don't lose discipline in your this one. So that's what we are doing it, sir. What we are saying is that we are making investors aware there will be volatility in the market, there could be volatility in your portfolio. Once you are mentally prepared, nothing comes as a shock to you. If I tell you that tomorrow it's going to rain, you are mentally prepared. Then you are prepared for the rain. But if suddenly rain comes, then what happens? You are not prepared, then what happens? That's what happens. So we are making mentally aware that this is what can happen to the portfolio. Be mentally ready for that. Do we have more questions or? Yeah, okay. Last two more questions if you don't mind, in the interest of the time. Yeah. Dr. Preeti Jadhav saying, sir, should we book profit partially before 4th June? Your reason to book profit should never be because of the event. Your reason to book profit should be that the reason why you bought that company does not hold true. Usme like, otherwise what would happen? You are cutting your flowers too early and then you will water the weeds. Potellich has said, people tend to get out of a wedding person very early, too soon. You should not do that. So yes, if there is a merit, you believe that stock is run ahead of the fundamentals, and you are not very sure of it. Kya bhi chalega, kya nahi chalega? Yes, book the profit. If you want to book partial profit, book partial profit also. But do that. But if you believe the story, so I'll give you very classical. Like someone asked me HL, am I right? We did not book profit in HL. Did someone mention about HL or not? Model portfolio hai ke nahi? No, आपने बताया नहीं प्रथमेश मुझे. We did not book. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Acha, people did mention. Yeah, we do on. We did not book profit in Varun Beverages. 400% up stock of the month हमारा था 2 साल पहले. Did we book any partial profit? Answer is no. So don't do that. You reason if the story remains. In fact, there was one temptation also for us when Reliance came out with that Campa Cola and they launched in Hyderabad. We were a little worried what would happen to the Varun Beverages. We did some research further on that and we took a call. We will not book profit in that. So booking profit partially or fully should be function of change in the story. If there is no change in the story, don't cut the flowers. Last two more questions. Pratmesh? Jayan, thanks for the information. What now the monsoon have started? Will the cement sector see a slowdown? Sir, वो तो every year होता है ना सर जयंत सर, वो कुछ नया नहीं है, वो तो मार्केट के लिए हर बार मार्केट is aware about that. So don't think that this will basically play out. That's the thing. No, I did mention about our outlook on cement. The large cap may remain in line with the overall market, but there is a more scope in small and mid cap. Why? Because of EV per ton formula. एक last question ले लेते हैं प्रथमेश. हो गया? Oh, Pratmesh is saying all the questions have been taken care. So thanks a lot to everyone taking time out. I did make data point. If you don't agree with any of these data points or if you have counter point of view, do write back to me and I'll be more than happy to have. We want people to ask questions and if you don't agree with us, it's fine with us. Because that's where we need to have a healthy debate also with our investors because that's how we can learn from each other. It should not be one way communication, it should be two-way communication. So if you have a point of view which differs from my point of view, feel free to write to us and I'll be more than happy to do that. In fact, Mohanji suggested in Thursday webinar and that's why I made this data in front of you. With this, thanks a lot everyone taking time out and attending this webinar. Have a good night, take care. Again, I'll be in front of our PMS customers on Thursday and with rest of everyone on Friday with the future trend. Good night, take care.